not just because you're right at the other end from me, but also because you bring in a unique perspective and I see you. You come from you've worked with global organizations. This is almost your first time talking. You work in an industry which almost forms the base for what more and more energy transitions will look at. You work with semiconductors. It's cutting edge, it's highly technical, and we don't see many women there. From your perspective, into global operations at a technology which is so advanced, what do you think? What kind of qualifications, what kind of and also opportunities do you think it throws up for women? And what would you look at if women have to join as engineers?
Okay, can you hear me? Hi. A very good morning to everybody. Very nice sessions. I think I'm feeling so empowered today being with all of you. So my name is Anamika, as she spoke about it, and I have been working for over 3 decades. And I'm bringing this up because energy sector, the power sector has undergone transformation from generation, transmission, distribution, the silos that had now it's all integrated, and the base has always been digitization. In the world of IoT, AI learning, and everything, a lot has changed. So today's perspective is about the power grid of the future, which is from power grid to a data center, all working in tandem and ensuring that we have a strategy which is AI ready for the future. And the rationale, since I'm in the world of technology, things have changed dramatically. For example, today the data center which was used to consume just 1x power is consuming 10x. So the change is multifold, and that's the challenge today the energy sector is facing. And it's no longer that we talk about we are future ready for the technology if we have this software. The software sits on the hardware, which is semiconductors. And that's the segment. Over my years of journey also, I also metamorphosized myself from being a mere power generation, automation, solution, professional. And I have gone into the world of semiconductor because today's semiconductor is the new oil in the entire world. Countries are fighting together to get a place in the sun. And that sun is not for India as yet. We have just started the vision of semiconductors, but if you look at US, Europe, Japan, they are far ahead of us. And the reason being that if you are software ready in cyber security, does not necessitate that your hardware is ready, because sorry to say, some of our hardware is coming from our neighbor who is not so friendly with us. So how do we change all that? And that's where we are looking at cutting edge solutions which make semiconductor. For example, semiconductor used to be silicon-based solution. I'm giving you just an example, since we were talking about transmission. We have a lot of people from power grid here. So in power grid, when you use a voltage source converted in high voltage DC, the solution used to be a silicon-based power module. But today, they have to change and become silicon carbon. Why? Because it provides you 30% saving in your electricity efficiency. It provides you 40% reduction in space. And more important, the temperature rating, which is India. India is a country where we have high temperature zones. We need technologies like this. So what changed in the last 40 years is changing today is as we are going into the era of AI and data centers with the power grid and the requirements are totally dramatically changing. So what is necessary and no more into the thing that happens at Talentia. And this is where gentlemen the best foot of the country forward. That's one track. That is for people who make policies, who empower women. But the other part is for women themselves. And this is where I'm sitting with you. In my own personal journey, I started as an engineer. I passed out of IMB because when I became a leader, I needed these skill sets. And similarly, then I went to do my Harvard Accelerated Development Program because I needed to upskill and reach there. And then it was Masters in Women Directorship. So women, if you want to be right at the top, making the decisions, being the leaders of, you got to empower yourself. Nobody is going to come and give you a position. Are you having those skills to become the leaders, to lead the country, lead the cutting edge that is required? In semiconductors, we are talking about moving from 28 nm to 2 nm today. The number of a chip that you have in a CPU or a GPU is of the size of a nail. It has 80 billion transistors. According to the Moore's law, it's going to become 180 in the next 2-3 years. So that means you're talking about 2 nm etching, which is even subatomic level. That's the kind of talent you're looking for. I would like you to remember that if you want to keep pace, your capability should also keep pace. With this, I will hand it over back to our moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. I think brought in a couple of really important points, and one of them being upskilling. With that, let's hold on to that thought about upskilling. And definitely, we have worked together with Anuvipa. I know about what BBC has been doing in terms of bringing in more women. And before I get to the question, let me also tell you Bhutan does one of the best in terms of the number of women in the power sector in South Asia. So, Rajat, you come from an organization which almost forms backbone of the power sector. That's the nature of your organization. You've worked in highly technical roles. You work on engineering planning, on system design. Moving forward, what for you is future readiness in your kind of industry? And how do you think, talking about upskilling and more opportunities, how do you think that can be created for women within organizations like yours?
Thank you, Tanush. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to be part of this very special session on women in electricity and be with the distinguished panel here and with a wonderful audience as well. So good morning, everyone. We are in the defining moment of energy transition, as you see. We have a rapidly growing demand that, as Anamika was saying, we have the loads are changing, our demand are growing. We have set up very ambitious plans to add generation as well as transmission capacity. So the future readiness, water and energy sector. So future readiness is about what is the future of the electricity sector. When we talk about it, we also need to talk about who are there in the future. So as Tanushree pointed out, globally women form only 20% of the workforce in the energy sector. And we are doing good. I think, right, I come from Bhutan Power Corporation. We are also 20%, coincidentally 20% workforce are women. But at leadership level, we are 50%. So I take pride in that. So the future readiness, what it means is, I would say from my experience of working in the energy sector, I think there are 3 key aspects for women to be future ready. The first aspect is to have a technical competence. You need to have skill set, you need to be future ready for whatever the skills are required in the future energy transition and energy evolving landscape. So by having a skill set and technical competence, you build your credibility, trust, and you can work in any field that you can. So I think the foundation is technical competence. The second is we need to step into leadership role. By taking into leadership role, you are there as a part of decision making. You shape policies and you shape your strategies. We need to take a leadership role. I think this is something that women need to do. And the third, I think that this is something that everyone talks about. I think V-Power has been in the forefront of doing that. It is to create opportunities. It is to create a working environment where women can participate, grow, collaborate. And Bhutan has been working with the V-Power, and we have many women here in this program as well from Bhutan. So this is one thing that we need to do. So the energy landscape that we are going through is same anywhere, and in Bhutan we are working in as you said, in a technical backbone. So we need to add capacities, create the opportunities for the future women, so that they participate. And everyone is saying that we participate, but do we actively participate and lead this energy transformation journey? So we should take that role. It's not about taking the men's role, but then it is to be actively part of this journey. And as our network is growing, like anything, Bhutan has also set a very ambitious plan. We are going to add 50 gigawatt of generations. So with that, we need to add transmission capacity. The grid operations will change. The smart grid operations will come. So in that, the skills of women need to be evolving, and we need to be part of this transformation journey. So with this, we are always advocating for having diversity at all levels. With this, we hope that from the 20%, it has been stagnant. So we are looking forward to have the numbers increase in years to come, and we hope that all the women here, the young women here, will step into an increase and create the opportunities to have more numbers of women in the electricity sector. Thank you.
What you also did is giving me the perfect segue to come to you. Just about how important transition is, and also about standing right in the front. You have been not just part of that head, you've also been part of the three funds that the sector has gone through, bringing us to where we are. You have been part of the operational systems design, which has readiness to come to be here when we are ready to be here. So from your very point of view and your, knowledge from being part of how we came here, how would you define, what would you define as, being future ready for women, and what do you think women should do so that they can actively become a part of the energy transition?
Thank you so much. Very warm good morning to all of you. It's really nice to see very colorful, beautiful, bright, intelligent women workforce here. Really, the hall is full with the women. That itself gives us a happiness to see that women workforce is there. It's not like it's not there. We are coming up with a very strong background. So that is what my first thing for you. And I'll take up this in two steps. First what ma'am was asking, what next you want. As Manju ma'am was already telling, we have crossed 53% renewable capacity in India, and we have all the reforms, regulations, many are in place, and we are going to achieve 500 gigawatts. So what next we want is, what in my view, we want to have a balanced system, continuously a balanced system where demand and supply balances. With the intermittent and variable and renewable energy now, that is the biggest task we are facing. So, and not only the balancing, we should have a techno-economic market, because only for balancing we cannot have a costly generation. So, by accepting and embracing the renewable, which is intermittent and variable, we should have a balanced grid. So, we should try to achieve for that. So, for that, we need a resource adequacy. Enough resource flexible adequacy is required so that we can balance the system. So, for that purpose, we need a strong transmission network, flexibility, and a smart grid. visibility and productivity. And moreover,